Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Dear students, Assalamu alaikum and welcome back in lecture number 26. Let's have a look what we studied in our previous lecture. We are discussing the chapter number 14 and today we are going to solve the problems, and our previous lecture was about methods for assessing total project risk including a probability approach and a simulation approach. इसमें हमने probability tree approach को इससे हमने अपने लेक्चर नंबर 24 में डिस्कस किया था और सिमुलेशन अप्रोच को हमने लेक्चर नंबर 25 में डिस्कस किया था. And then judge projects with respect to their contribution to the total firm risk, a firm portfolio approach where a combination of projects, how they contribute towards the risk. उसमें कौन सा कॉम्बिनेशन फर्म के लिए बेहतर है और कौन सा कॉम्बिनेशन जो है फर्म के लिए उसमें रिस्क ज़्यादा है. एंड देन प्रेजेंस ऑफ मैनेजेरियल रियल ऑप्शंस एंड हाउ इट एनहांसेस द वर्थ ऑफ एन इन्वेस्टमेंट प्रोजेक्ट. हमने मैनेजेरियल रियल ऑप्शंस को डिस्कस किया था कि हाउ दे कैन इंक्रीज द वर्थ ऑफ अ प्रोजेक्ट. सपोज कि कोई फर्म किसी प्रोजेक्ट के लिए डिस्काउंटेड कैश फ्लो टेक्निक्स या कैपिटल बजटिंग टेक्निक्स के ज़रिए उसको रिजेक्ट कर देती है, बट देयर इज़ अ फ्लेक्सिबिलिटी इन द प्रोजेक्ट कि उसको एट अ लेटर स्टेज उसमें कुछ अमेंडमेंट्स की जा सकें, उसको प्रोजेक्ट के अंदर इन्वेस्टमेंट को डिले किया जा सके या उसमें से प्रोजेक्ट को अबेंडन किया जा सके एट सर्टन स्टेज. तो इन दैट केस these options they have value, and when we add this value into the net present value we determined using the capital budgeting techniques, so that if the worth becomes positive then the project can be accepted. And also we covered the topic of listing, discussing and value different types of managerial real options like expansion or contraction of the project, abandonment of the project and postponement of the project. So these topics we covered in our previous lecture, and today we are going to solve the problems given at the end of the chapter number 14. So this is the third lecture of chapter number 14. It's about risk and managerial real options in capital budgeting, and the learning outcomes, they are the same for this chapter as we discussed in our last two lectures. And now let's come to the problem number 1. So it is given at page number 369. The book is Fundamentals of Financial Management by Van Horn. It's the 12th edition. So the problem number 1 states, the George Incorporation can invest in one of two mutually exclusive one-year projects requiring equal initial outlay. Mutually exclusive means the firm can accept only one of these projects. The two proposals have the following discrete probability distributions of net cash flows for the first year. Now here the probability distribution is discrete. Each probability has one number for it. So the probability for project A is 20% for a cash flow of 2000, and for 4000 it is 30%, and so on until the final distribution possible probability of 20% for a cash flow of 8000. And then for project B it is given the cash flows, they are same, but the only difference is in the probability. In the project A the probability was 20% for the first possible cash flow, and in case of project B it is 10%. And then the next cash flow, the probability in project B is higher than in the first project. And keep in mind we are talking about one cash flow जिसकी different possibilities हैं, और ये first year का cash flow है और there can be only one cash flow, लेकिन हमने जो भी possible cash flows हो सकते हैं under the different economic conditions या different managerial or expectations, so in that case there can be different cash flows expected, लेकिन हम इन सब को वेटेज दे के एक कैश फ्लो जो है वो डिटरमिन करते हैं. बट हियर फॉर प्रोजेक्ट ए एंड प्रोजेक्ट बी कैश फ्लो पैटर्न इज सेम, बट द प्रोबेबिलिटी डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन इज डिफरेंट हियर. एंड देन व्हाट इज रिक्वायर्ड हियर इज, without calculating a mean and a coefficient of variation, can you select the better proposal assuming a risk averse management? In this case management is not ready to take any risk. Management is a risk averse. So by just looking at the probability distribution and the cash flows, the respective cash flows for the probability, which project would we suggest or we will select. So if you look at the project A and project B, the probability distribution, so in case of project B, the probability distribution for the second and third possible cash flow, that is 4,000 and 6,000, the probability is high. So it is very much likely कि फर्म को 4,000 और 6,000 कैश फ्लोज जो हैं वो रिसीव होंगे. So but here if you look at the project A, the probability for 4,000 and 6,000 possible cash flows probability is lower. So if we don't make any calculation and just look at the picture here, you can see here the possibility of project B to get more cash flows or to higher or sure cash flows is higher than in case of project A. So the project B is preferred over project A given this information. And then verify your intuitive determination. अब हमने ये जो डिटरमिन किया है या हमने ये जो सजेस्ट किया है कि प्रोजेक्ट बी हैज़ लेसर रिस्क, हमने इसको अब फाइंड आउट करना है यूजिंग the measures like the standard deviation and coefficient of variation, and then let's see how it goes. So we are given here the cash flows and the probability for it, and now we will determine the expected cash flow, that is the mean cash flow. So for project A, the expected cash flow is equal to, we will multiply the respective probabilities with the cash flows. So you can see here 0.2 into 2,000, and then we add up all the cash flows, then 0.3 into 4,000 plus 0.3 again, that is the probability of the third possible cash flow, it is 6,000 plus 0.2 into 8,000. So if we multiply them and add them up, we have 400 plus 1,200 plus 1,800 here and 1,600. And what is the expected cash flow here is, if we add them up, we have 5,000. And the standard deviation would be, we denote it with sigma, we call it standard deviation. For project A, it's equal to the possible cash flows minus the expected cash flow, that is the weighted average cash flow in case of this problem, that is CF with a bar on it, and we assign the probability to it. That is, the first cash flow is 2,000 minus the expected cash flow of 5,000, and we multiply it with the probability, which is 0.2 in the case of first cash flow, and we carry on this practice, that is next cash flow minus the expected cash flow, and we assign the weightage to it, that is 0.3, and then plus 6,000 minus 5,000 into 0.3 again plus 8,000 minus 5,000 into the probability of 0.2. And keep in mind, when we are going to calculate the standard deviation, we have to take a square of all these differences, and then if we leave it as it is, we can calculate the variance. But when we are going to calculate the standard deviation, we have to take a square root of this calculation. So we take a square root of all this calculation. And if we calculate it, it becomes 4.2 million. And if we take an under root of it, the standard deviation we get is 2049. And coefficient of variation for project A, it is equal to the standard deviation divided by the expected cash flow. So we calculated the standard deviation as 2049 divided by the expected cash flow, which is 5000 here. So we have it 0.410. So this is the coefficient of variation for project A. So for project A, now we have calculated the expected cash flow and the standard deviation. So all these are in dollars, and the coefficient of variation. And now for project B, we will calculate, and then we make a comparison between project A and project B, and let's see how it goes. For project B, we have, first we will calculate the expected cash flow, that is the weighted average cash flow, and the cash flows, they are same, only the probability assigned to each cash flow is different here. .4 plus 6000 into 0.4 plus 8000 into 0.1. So if we solve for it, we have 800, and if we add them up, we get again a figure of $5,000. So the expected cash flow in case of project B is the same as in case of project A. And now we find the standard deviation of project B. This is the difference between the cash flow and the expected cash flows here in case of, again it is 5000. We assign it to the probability, and then 4000 minus the expected cash flow whole square into the probability assigned here, that is 0.4, and then plus 6000 minus 5000 whole square into its probability plus 8000 minus 5000 whole square into 0.1, the probability of it, and then we take a square root of all this calculation, and when we calculate it, it becomes 1612. So here you can see the standard deviation of project B is lower than the standard deviation of project A. As you can see, in case of project A it is $2,049, and in case of project B it is 1,612. It's way less than the project A. And the coefficient of variation for project B, it is the standard deviation we calculated divided by the expected cash flow. It becomes 0.322. So you can see here the coefficient of variation is again lower in this case. In case of project A, it was 0.410, and here it is 0.322. So it is again less than the project A. So the risk associated with project B is lesser than the risk associated with project A. So the firm should accept the project B instead of project A. Now let's solve the problem 2. So the problem 2 states that Smith Jones Incorporation is faced with several possible investment projects. For each, the total cash flow required will occur in the initial period. The cash flows expected net present values, the cash flows expected net present values and standard deviations are given in the following table. All projects have been discounted at the risk-free rate, and it is assumed that the distributions of their possible net present values are normal. So in the first problem, the distribution was discrete, that is, the only one possible value was there, but in this case, possibility is in the range of possible values. So this is a continuous distribution, what we call as normal distribution. So we are given with the projects from A to E and the cost of each project, and then expected net present value. The net present value has also been calculated for each of these projects, and the standard deviation is also given in this case. So what we are supposed to do is, are there some projects that are clearly dominated by others with respect to expected value and standard deviation, and with respect to expected value and coefficient of variation? And then in B part, it is required that what is the probability that each of the projects will have a net present value less than 0. So we calculate first we are given with the expected net present value and the standard deviation, and one thing is missing here, that is the coefficient of variation. So let's first complete the table here. So I have made a table for you, and we have projects. That is A, B, C, D, and E. And the cost for each project is given, but the cost here is irrelevant, we don't put it here. The expected net present value, that is the NPV bar, it is also given. It is 10,000, 10,000, and for project C it is 25,000, and 5,000 for project D, and 75,000 for project A. And we have the standard deviation. Standard deviation for each project is given. It is 20,000 for project A, 30,000 for project B, then 10,000 and 10,000 for C and D, and 75,000 for project E. And the coefficient of variation for each of this project, we will calculate it for, that is coefficient of variation of the net present value, and it is, we can calculate it by dividing the standard deviation for each of the project with the expected net present value for each of these projects. So we can calculate it easily, that is standard deviation is 20,000 and net present value expected one is 10,000. So the standard deviation is 2 in this in case of A, and in case of B it is 3, and in case of C it is 10,000 divided by 25,000. So it should be 0.4, I think, that is 10 over 25 or 1 over 2.5. And here again it is 2, and here it is 1. And now based on this information, that is the net present value, the standard deviation and coefficient of variation, we have to select which projects they are less risky and which projects they have more risk. So what is required in case of A, that are there some projects that are clearly dominated by others with respect to expected value and standard deviations, and with respect to expected value and coefficient of variation. So first of all, expected value and standard deviation. So if you look at these projects, the expected value and standard deviation, so you will find out which project contributes the maximum net present value and lowest standard deviation. So you see here that project C, in this case, it has least standard deviation and the net present value is also good, better than project A, B and D. So it is clear that project C, it dominates project A, B and D. And then because project E has maximum net present value, so we don't take in this calculation here that project C, we can't say that it dominates the project E or not, because the net present value contributed by project E has the highest possibility, whereas the risk is also maximum in this case. And then if you exclude C and look in between the A, B, D and E, you can see here project A or project D has the least standard deviation in this case, and the net present value is again positive here, although it is less than the project A and B, but it has lesser risk in this case because project A and B, they have higher standard deviations. So that's why the project D dominates project A and B. If we exclude C, then project D is better than project A and B. And you can say it otherwise as well. For example, in case of project D, the return is expected net present value is 5,000, and if you double the net present value, it is 10,000. And on the same way, the standard deviation is also doubled in this case. So you can say the same thing for project A and project D. But because the risk associated is proportionately same, so we should better prefer project A over project D, in fact, so that the net present value, expected net present value that can be contributed to the firm's wealth is higher in this case. And now if we look at the remaining projects, which project dominates if we exclude project C. So if we look at the net present values contributed by different projects, they are 10,000, 10,000, 5,000 and 75,000. Since the 75,000 contribution has highest standard deviation, that is the highest risk, so that's why we don't take it in the case of standard deviation and expected net present value. So among the remaining three, that is A, B and D, it is clear, we can see it that project A has net present value of 10,000 and the standard deviation is 20,000, which is clearly better than project B. And if we compare it with project D, the project D has almost half of the expected net present value than project A, and the standard deviation is also half, that is half of the standard deviation of project A, that is the risk is also half. But in this case, the proportionately, if you can see here, the net contribution towards the firm's wealth is possible, is the net contribution to the firm's wealth is maximum in case of project A. तो हम project A को prefer करेंगे over project B and D. That is, so we can say here project A dominates B and D. And what is required in part B is, not in part B, sorry. So what is required in the second part of A, that is with respect to expected value and coefficient of variation. अब पहले हमने डिटरमिन किया था डोमिनेंट प्रोजेक्ट्स को यूजिंग द नेट प्रेजेंट वैल्यू, एक्सपेक्टेड नेट प्रेजेंट वैल्यू एंड स्टैंडर्ड डेविएशन, और अब हम करेंगे नेट एक्सपेक्टेड नेट प्रेजेंट वैल्यू और कोएफिशिएंट ऑफ वेरिएशन. सो इफ वी यूज दैट, so you can see here the coefficient of variation is minimum in case of project C, and the contribution towards the expected net present value is 25,000, and in case of project E the net present value is, the coefficient of variation is 1 and the net present value contributed is maximum. So we can choose here again project C because it has the least coefficient of variation. So we can say project C dominates the project C dominates the projects, again the same projects with higher coefficient of variation, that is project A, B and D. And likewise the second best coefficient of variation is associated with E. So we can say here project E dominates the projects A, B and D here. And likewise if we go further, project A has lesser coefficient of variation but maximum contribution towards the net present value, that is 10,000. So we can say here project A dominates project B and D. And let's go towards the B part, that is what is the probability that each of the projects will have a net present value less than 0. इसको हमने Z score से determine किया था. What is the probability that is the net present value, the project will have a net present value less than 0. We have an expected net present value and we take it towards 0. That is, we have in this case for each project we are given with a expected net present value, और इसमें इसको अगर हम 0 पे लेके जाएंगे तो उसके 0 या उससे less इस पे कितनी probability है, we will determine using the table 5. And let's see how we solve it. We have projects here, it is A, B, C, D and E, and as you know we calculated the Z score. It was equal to, now here we are taking the probability of 0 expected value, 0 of net present value. What is the probability of the net present value to be 0 or less than that? So we take a difference of 0 and the expected value of each project. And we divide it with the respective standard deviation of each project. So we calculated for project A, the expected net present value in this case is 10,000 and the standard deviation given is 20,000 in this case. So you can see clearly it is minus 1/2 or minus 0.5, and then we solve for each of the projects and we calculate it equal to minus 0.33, and in case of project C it becomes minus 2.5, and in case of project D it becomes minus 0.5, and for project E it becomes minus 1. And now we are going to find out the probability कि for each of this project the net present value is equal to 0. So अभी जो हमारे पास जो given data है उसमें हमारे पास expected net present values given हैं और उसके साथ probability जो है that can also be determined, but we are concerned with determining the probability कि what is probability कि the expected net present value जो है वो 0 हो जाए. अब हम table 5 को use करेंगे and we take the probabilities mentioned for each of these values we calculated as z-score, and let's go towards the end of this book and we see to the table 5 and we can find out the values given here. For example, in case of 0.5 it is given as the area to the left or right of the expected value, that is given here is 0.3085. We are going to determine the probability that the net present value is equal to or less than 0 here. So in front of 0.5 we have a value of 0.3085 and in front of 0.33 we don't have 0.3, but 0.33 lies between 0.3 and 0.35. अब हम इसमें again we will use the rule of interpolation, और interpolation का rule हम कैसे use करेंगे? We have different values. For example, for 0.3 the value here is given, it is 0.382 and 0.3821, and for 0.33 we have to determine the value here. Let's say it is x here, and for 0.33 we have to determine the probability. Let's say it is PR, and for 0.35 it is given 0.3632, and if we use the rule of interpolation and we can solve it by taking the difference between these 2 points and by taking the difference between these 2 points, and it becomes 0.05, and on the other hand we suppose the difference between these two is x, and the difference between these two digits becomes 0.0189, and if we can solve it using the interpolation, that the ratio between x and 0.0189 is equal to the ratio between 0.03 and 0.05, and if we solve for x we get a value equal to 0.01134, and this value we can add into this value and we can use this value to solve for probability. Here in this case the required probability would become 0.3821 minus 0.01134, and it becomes 0.3707. अब इसको हमने ऐड करना है या सब्ट्रैक्ट करना है, ये आपको सीक्वेंस ऑफ द डिजिट्स उससे पता चल सकता है. फॉर एग्जांपल इन दिस केस 0.3821 and the final figure is 0.3632, it is reducing. So in this case the probability which lies in the middle should be less than the probability given at the top, that is 0.3821. अब हम जो वैल्यू हमने probability के लिए डिटरमिन करनी है, that should be equal to the difference between the 0.3821 and the x we considered for these two values. और इसी तरह से for 2.5 we have 0.0062, and for 0.5 it is again the first value we calculated 0.3085, and for 1 it is given here as 0.1577. So you can see here there is a 30.85% chance net present value will be equal to 0 or less than 0 in case of project A, and in case of project B there is a probability of 30%, and in case of project C there is a probability of 0.62% जो है net present value will become 0 or less than that. And for project D again there is 30% probability, and in case of project E there is 15.77% probability that the net present value will become 0 or less than that. So in this way we can use table 5 to use the z-score to calculate the net present values that is less than or greater than the required value. And now we come to the problem number 3. In case of problem 3, it states that the probability distribution of possible net present values for project X has an expected value of 20,000 and a standard deviation of 10,000. Assuming a normal distribution, calculate the probability that the net present value will be 0 or less, that is, that it will be greater than 30,000 and that it will be less than 5,000. So we are given here the expected net present value, that is NPV, which is $20,000, and then the standard deviation, which is equal to $10,000. So we assume the distribution is a normal distribution, and what we are required here is to calculate that net present value will be less than or equal to 0 and the net present value will be greater than 30,000, and that the net present value will be less than 5,000. So for all these conditions we calculate the z-score. So here we can calculate the z-score. For example, in case of net present value less than or equal to 0, we calculate it by 0. We calculate the z-score, that is 0 minus the expected net present value, which is given as 20,000. So the z-score actually represents the standard deviations, the required, that is the 0, is away from the expected value. So we take the difference between the required cash flow and the expected net present value, that is the required net present value and expected net present value, and we divide it with the standard deviation. So we find the z-score for net present value less than 0 is equal to minus 2. And if we check it with the table 5, for 2 we have a probability of 0.0228. Probability of net present value less than or equal to 0 is 0.0228 or 2.28%. And then again we take a z-score for net present value to be greater than 30,000, and we see what is the probability of this outcome, that is 30,000 minus 20,000 divided by the standard deviation, which is 10,000 here in this case. So you can see here it becomes equal to 1, that is plus 1. So what is the probability of plus 1 here? 0.1557 or 15.77% is the probability that net present value will be more than 30,000. And then for the net present value less than 5,000, we calculate the z-score by taking a difference between the 5000 and the expected value, which is 20,000 in this case, and divide it with the standard deviation. We find it equal to minus 1.5. And what is the probability here in this case? We look in the table 5, 1.5 says 0.0668 or 6.68%. So this is the probability that net present value will be 0 or less than that. This is the probability in this case, and then the probability that net present value will be 30,000 or more than that. We have this much probability for that, and for probable net present value to be less than 5,000 or equal to 5,000, we have this probability for this option. So this is problem number 3, and now let's move towards problem number 4. So in problem number 4 states that Zonix Graphics Incorporation is evaluating a new technology for its reproduction equipment. The technology will have a 3-year life, will cost $1,000. So the initial cash outflow is $1,000 and will have an impact on cash flows that is subject to risk. Management estimates that there is a 50-50 chance that the technology will either save the company $1,000 in the first year or save it nothing at all. So for the first year, the possible outcomes is that there will be a zero outcome, that is a zero cash inflow for the first year, 50% chance, and then there is a chance of 50% that the cash flow will become $1,000. If nothing at all, savings in the last 2 years would be zero as well. Even here, there is some possibility that in the second year an additional outlay of $3,000 would be required to convert back to the original process. और अगर outcome जो है that is $0, that is the first year's cash flow अगर $0 है, तो project जो है that is for 3 years, उसमें जो next 2 years हैं उनमें भी जो outcome है that is again zero cash flow. और moreover second year में firm को an additional $300 जो है वो और भी एक्सपेंड करना पड़ेंगे सच दैट कि जो उसके जो लॉसेस हैं उस प्रोजेक्ट के उनको रिकवर करके वापस बैक टू द ओरिजिनल पोजीशन आने के लिए. एंड देन फॉर द न्यू टेक्नोलॉजी मे डिक्रीज एफिशिएंसी मैनेजमेंट अटैच अ 40% प्रोबेबिलिटी to this occurrence, and then management attaches a 40% probability to this occurrence if the new technology bombs out, that is the new technology fails in the first year. If the technology proves itself in the first year, it is felt that second year cash flows will be 1800, 1400 and 1000 with probabilities of 0.2, 0.6 and 0.2 respectively. और अगर the new technology जो है that is successful, so in that case of the first year cash flows जो है that will be 1000, and then the subsequent second year's cash flow they will become 1800, 1400 and 1000 for the next second year, and the probabilities for these cash flows they are also given here. And in the third year cash flows are expected to be either 200 greater or 200 less than the cash flows in period 2. And then for the third year जो कैश फ्लोज हैं एक्सपेक्टेड कैश फ्लोज हैं वो सेकंड ईयर के कैश फ्लोज में या तो $200 प्लस होंगे या $200 लेस होंगे. सो देयर इज अ 50% चांस फॉर ईच विद एन इक्वल चांस ऑफ अकरेंस. एंड देन अगेन दीज कैश फ्लोज डिपेंड ऑन द कैश फ्लो इन पीरियड 1 बीइंग 1000. और अभी हमने ये जो अज्यूम किए हैं कैश फ्लोज ये उसी वक्त पॉसिबल होंगे जब पहले साल का कैश फ्लो जो है वो $1000 होगा. And then what we are required to do here is set up a tabular version of a probability tree to depict the cash flow possibilities and the initial, conditional and giant probabilities. So first of all we simply have to prepare the streams of cash flows first. So let's start with the solution. So we have the year 1 and we have year 2 we have year 3 and the overall probabilities. For the year 1 we have initial probabilities and the cash flow, the net cash flows. So for an initial probability that the net cash flow will be 0 and the net cash flow will be 1000, there is a 50% chance. So the initial probability for the first year's possible cash flow is 0.5 for a cash flow of 0. So there is a $0 cash flow in the first year, its chance is 50%. So if it is 0 in the first year, then what is the probabilities in the next second year? That is the conditional probability. And the net cash flow for the second year. So for the second year, at the end of second year, there will be 0 cash flow, because in the first year there is a $0 cash flow. So in this problem it is stated that the second year and third year cash flows will be again 0. लेकिन नई टेक्नोलॉजी इंट्रोड्यूस करने से जो फर्म की एफिशिएंसी रिड्यूस हुई है, सो उसको वापस मेंटेन करने के लिए फर्म को एन एक्स्ट्रा $300 वो भी स्पेंड करना पड़ेंगे. सो इन दैट केस देयर इज एन अदर कैश आउटफ्लो दैट इज minus $300 in the second year, and its probability is 0.4. Then you can see in the problem that there is a 40% chance कि फर्म को एक $300 एक्स्ट्रा स्पेंड करना पड़ेंगे to bring the efficiencies back to the normal. And then there is a 60% chance, that is 0.6, the cash flows is 0. And then अब इस केस में you can see here कि the expense of 300, its chance is 40%, कि 40% चांसेस हैं कि फर्म को अपनी एफिशिएंसी रिकवर करने के लिए $300 स्पेंड करना पड़े, या देयर इज a 0 cash flow और 60% चांसेस कि 300 स्पेंड नहीं करना पड़े. सो इफ देयर इज no more expenditures, if there is no more expenditure, in that case the net cash flow is 0 here. And then for the third year, that is year 3, the conditional probability is, in this case there is 100% chance कि net cash flow जो है that is 0. And again for this outcome there is again 100% chance है कि the net cash flow is 0 again. And then for the overall joint probabilities, we can multiply the probabilities streams for each of these possible cash flows. So you can see here we have 0.5, the first year probability, the initial probability, then the conditional probability of 0.4, and then the conditional probability in the third year, which is 1. So we have the joint probability equal to 0.2 in this case, and in this case we have the joint probability equal to 0.3. And then for the next possibility, that is again there is a 50% chance that the firm will have $1,000 cash flow. So in this case, what are the next year's possible cash flows? We can estimate them like this, that there is the net cash flows, they are given as 1800, 1400 and 1000. So for each of these cash flows, the respective probabilities, they are also mentioned here as 0.2, 0.6 and 0.2. And then for the third year, there is again a probability that the cash flows will become 2000 more or 2000 less, and the probability of occurrence is 50% for each. So for the third year's cash flows, there is probability that 50% probability is that the cash flows will be $200 higher. In this case it becomes 2000, and if it reduces, the 50% probability that it will reduce by $200, it becomes 1200. And for this cash flow, the possibility of 0.5 and 0.5 that it will become 1600 or 1200. I'm sorry, in this case, that is the cash flow of 1800. If we reduce it by 200, it would become 1600. And then for the third cash flow, the respective probabilities, they are 50% for each possible outcome. That is, the cash flow will increase by 200 and cash flow will decrease by 200. So in this case, the joint probabilities will become 0.5 into the conditional probability of year 2 is 0.2, and then for the third year conditional probability is 0.5, and it becomes equal to 0.05, and accordingly for the next year it becomes equal to and accordingly for the next cash stream it becomes equal to 0.05 again. And then for the next cash flow stream, it will become 0.15, and for this cash flow stream it will become again 0.15, and for this cash flow it becomes 0.05 and 0.05. So you can see here there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and 8. So there are 8 possible cash flow streams, and this is what is required in part A of this problem, that is set up a tabular version of a probability tree to depict the cash flow possibilities and the initial, conditional and joint probabilities. So we determined the initial, conditional and the joint probabilities in this possible cash flow streams and the possible cash flows here. And what is required in part B is calculate a net present value for each of the 3 possibilities, that is for each of the 8 complete branches in the possibility trees using a risk-free rate of 5%. So here we will discount the cash flows using the discount rate of 5%, and we will calculate the present value for all these 8 cash flow streams. And now we will calculate the present values of all these possible cash flow streams, and then we calculate the expected net present values by multiplying those net present values with their joint probabilities. So we have the cash flow streams here, cash flow streams, that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and 8, and then we will calculate the net present value for each of this cash flow stream, and we multiply this with the joint probability as we calculated in our previous slide, and then we calculate the expected net present value for each of these cash flow streams. So for the first cash flow, there was 0 cash flow in the first year, and we discount it with 1.05 for the first year, and then in the second year there was a negative cash flow that was 300 and 1.05 square, plus the third year cash flow again was 0. So and then we discount it with 1.05 with power 3, so minus the initial cash outflow, that is $1,000 in this case. So we get a figure of minus 1275, and the joint probability for this cash stream is 0.2, and we have the expected net present value in the first case, that is minus 254.4. And then the second year's cash flow, we have a cash flow of 0 in the first year, then again 0 in the second year, then 0 in the third year. So the net present values will also be 0 in all these cases. And we had an initial cash outflow of 1000. So the net present value in the case of second possible cash flow stream is minus 1000, and the giant probability in this case was 0.3, and the net present value will become minus 300. And for the third year, we have a cash flow of $1,000 in the first year, and then we had a cash flow of $1,800 in the second year, and then we had a cash flow of that is, we added $200 in the cash flow, that is 2000, and we discount it with 5% discount rate, and we calculate all these present values and minus the initial cash outflow, and we calculate it. It becomes equal to 4,313, and the probability for it is 0.05, and we have the expected net present value by multiplying it with the giant probability. We have it 165.65, and then we calculate for all these possible cash flow streams, and we get the expected net present values as 148.35 and 390.6, 338.5, and then 94.8 and 77.5. So these are the expected net present values for all these 8 cash flow streams, and when we add them up, we can get the project's expected net present value. So when we add them, we get an amount of 661.35. So this is the expected net present value for this project. And in the third place, in part C, we are required to calculate the expected value of net present value of the project presented in the probability tree. अब हमने ये जो फिगर कैलकुलेट की, that is 661.35 is the answer here in part C. And then in part D, what is the risk of the project? So now we have to calculate the risk. When we have to calculate the risk, in fact, we are going to calculate the standard deviation of this problem. So now we are going to calculate the risk of this project, which is required in part D. That is part D here. And we are going to calculate the standard deviation of this project. So as you know, we have the expected cash flow, and we have cash flow streams for each different possible outcomes. So we calculate the standard deviation by using the formula, that is the net present value minus the expected net present value, and we take a square of this value, we multiply it with the giant probability, and we add them up for all the respective cash flow streams. And let me write it for this calculation. That first calculation of the net present value was 1272 minus the expected cash flow. We take the rounding figure, that is 661, we take a square of it, and we multiply it with the giant probability. And likewise we do for the rest of the cash flow streams, and we add them up for all the 8 cash flow streams. That was and the last giant probability was 0.05. So we calculate for all these 8 cash flows, and then we take a square root of this calculation, and I have solved it for you. It becomes 3.25 million 7616. So it becomes 3257616, and we take an under root of this value. It becomes equal to $1,805. So you can see here the standard deviation is quite high in this case. So this answer represents that the standard deviation of this net present value streams that we determined from 1 through 8, the dispersion is quite high in this case because the standard deviation is higher in this case. And also the risk is very high. Right from the first year when we say कि या तो possible outcome है $0 और the possible outcome है $1,000, और अगर possible outcome $0 है तो it has an equal chance, that is 50%. So the risk associated with this project is very high. So the management, if they are risk averse, they should abandon this project. They should not take up this project. Today we discussed the problems at the end of the chapter and we solved about 4 problems, and the summary is that you have to solve the problem by yourself. Unless you make practice by yourself, you will be, it is highly possible कि आप गलतियां करेंगे, लेकिन अगर आप इन प्रॉब्लम्स को खुद से भी एक दफ़ा सॉल्व करेंगे तो आप you will encounter problems while solving the problems. तो जब आपको प्रॉब्लम्स पेश आएंगे इन प्रॉब्लम्स को सॉल्व करते हुए, तो in that case you will be able to solve all the problems and all your confusions will be sorted out. So that's all for today's lecture. Inshallah we'll see you in the next lecture. Till then, Assalamu alaikum.